Lately, I've been thinking a lot about where I want to spend the next chapter of my life. I've traveled all over the United States, and I've seen a lot of great places. But with the cost of living, high taxes, violence, and everything else going on, I've started wondering if there might be a better fit for me somewhere else. That's what got me looking seriously at Southeast Asia. One of the biggest things making me question whether I want to stay in the United States is simply the cost of living. Everything seems to cost more than it used to. Groceries, insurance, utilities, housing, vehicles, it all adds up fast. And then you add taxes on top of everything else. I've worked hard most of my life, and at this point I'm starting to ask myself a pretty simple question. How much of my life do I want to spend just trying to keep up with expenses? I'm not looking to live like a millionaire. I'm looking for a comfortable life where my money goes farther. I can enjoy myself, travel, and not feel like every month is another financial battle. That's one of the biggest reasons Southeast Asia has gotten my attention. The cost of living isn't the only thing that has me thinking about a change. It also feels like there's more stress everywhere you look. People seem more angry, more divided, and more on edge. You turn on the news and it's violence, arguments, crime, politics, and one crisis after another. Now I know no country is perfect. I'm not looking for some magical place where nothing bad ever happens. But at this point in my life, peace matters to me a lot more than it used to. I want to wake up somewhere I feel comfortable. I want to enjoy my day without constantly feeling like everything around me is moving 100 miles an hour. That idea of slowing life down and getting away from some of the stress is another reason I keep looking overseas. I've been fortunate enough to see a lot of the United States over the years. I've been to Washington, D.C., Chicago, Joliet, Portland, San Francisco, Reno, Lake Tahoe, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Santa Monica, Laughlin, Winslow, National Parks in New Mexico, the Petrified Forest, White Sands, San Antonio, the Alamo, Houston, New Orleans, and plenty of places in between. I've seen mountains and rivers from the train in Montana. I've crossed deserts, big cities, small towns, beaches, mountains, and long stretches of highway. I'm grateful for all of those memories, but seeing so much of America is also what made me start thinking bigger. There's a whole world out there I still haven't seen. I'm not saying I'm ready to pack everything up tomorrow and leave for good, but I am starting to think seriously about what a change like that would actually look like. What would I keep? What would I sell? What would I leave behind? And what would I really need to start a new chapter somewhere else? The idea of leaving everything familiar is a little intimidating, but at the same time there's something exciting about simplifying things and realizing that maybe I don't need as much as I thought I did. The hardest part of spending a lot of time overseas wouldn't be the travel, the language, or even adjusting to a different country. It would be being farther away from my kids and grandkids. That's the part I think about the most. You can video call, text, send pictures, and stay connected every day, but I know that still isn't the same as being close enough to see them whenever I want. That's why any decision I make has to leave room for family. I'm not looking to disappear. I'm trying to figure out how to explore a different life without giving up the people who matter most to me. Being farther away doesn't mean disappearing from my family's life. If I spend time in the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, or somewhere else in Southeast Asia, I'd still come back home. My family would still be a major part of my life. And honestly, one of the things I'd want to figure out is whether I could create a life that gives me the best of both worlds. Maybe I spend part of the year overseas and part of the year back home. Maybe my kids and grandkids come visit me and experience places they might never have seen otherwise. I don't have every detail figured out yet, but whatever I decide, staying connected to my family has to be part of the plan. Being farther away doesn't mean disappearing from my family's life. If I spend time in the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, or somewhere else in Southeast Asia, I'd still come back home. My family would still be a major part of my life. And honestly, one of the things I'd want to figure out is whether I could create a life that gives me the best of both worlds. Maybe I spend part of the year overseas and part of the year back home. Maybe my kids and grandkids come visit me and experience places they might never have seen otherwise. I don't have every detail figured out yet, but whatever I decide, staying connected to my family has to be part of the plan. When I look at everything from where I am right now, I don't see this as running away from anything. I see it as finally giving myself permission to explore what the rest of my life could look like. There are still a lot of unknowns. I may love living overseas, or I may decide home is still where I want to be. But either way, I'll know because I actually gave it a chance. And that matters to me. I don't want fear, comfort, or routine making the decision for me. I want to see what's out there, experience it for myself, and then decide what kind of life feels right. What I'm really trying to build is a life that feels more like mine, not a life built around somebody else's schedule, expectations, or idea of success. I want enough freedom to decide where I live, how I spend my time, when I travel, and what I want my days to look like. That doesn't mean everything will be easy. It just means I want more control over the direction I'm going. At this point in my life, that matters more to me than having more stuff or chasing some bigger paycheck. I want time, peace, experiences, and the freedom to make my own choices. That's what living on my terms means to me. Part of what draws me to Southeast Asia is the idea of experiencing everyday life somewhere completely different. Not just the tourist attractions, but the nights, the neighborhoods, the food, the people, and the little moments you remember years later. I want to walk through cities I've never seen before, sit somewhere with a view I've never had before, and make memories that don't look anything like the ones I've already made. It's really what travel has always meant to me. It's not just about changing locations. It's about collecting experiences, meeting people, and having stories to look back on. And I feel like there are still a lot of stories out there waiting for me. The truth is, I don't know exactly how any of this is going to turn out. I could go overseas and absolutely love it, or I could get there and realize I miss home more than I expected. There are things I can plan for, but there are also things I won't understand until I'm actually living them. And I'm okay with that, because staying in the same place just because it feels familiar is still a decision. For me, the bigger risk might be doing nothing at all and always wondering what could have been. So I'm willing to accept a little uncertainty if it gives me a chance at something better. At this point in my life, I'm less interested in owning more stuff and more interested in having more freedom. I don't need the biggest house, the newest car, or a bunch of things sitting around that I barely use. What matters more to me now is time. Time to travel. Time with family. Time to experience new places. Time to wake up and decide what I actually want to do that day. That's what I mean when I say I'm chasing freedom, not things. Because possessions can be replaced. Time can't. And I want to make better use of the time I still have. That may be the biggest thing I'm looking for now. Less rush, less stress, and more actual life. I've spent enough years worrying about schedules, bills, responsibilities, and what needs to be done next. I still want purpose. I still want things to look forward to. I still want to stay active and keep moving. I just don't want every day to feel like a race. I want more quiet mornings, more time outside, more time with people I care about, more chances to travel and enjoy where I am, instead of always thinking about what I have to do next. For me, that sounds like a pretty good trade. Less stress, more life. I don't know exactly where this road is going to lead, but I do know there are still places I haven't seen, people I haven't met, and experiences I haven't had yet. I've only got one life, and I don't want to spend the rest of it wondering what might have happened if I had been willing to try something different. There are still a lot of possibilities out there, and I'm ready to see where some of them lead. At some point, I think you have to decide what freedom actually means to you. For me, it means having choices. Choices about where I live, how I spend my time, how much stress I allow into my life, and what I want the next chapter to look like. I may not have every detail figured out yet, but I know I want more control over the direction I'm going, and I think making that choice for myself is part of what freedom really is. I'm not chasing some perfect life. I know wherever I go, there will still be problems, responsibilities, and things I have to deal with. What I'm looking for is a life that feels more balanced. I want to appreciate what I have, be present enough to actually enjoy it, and still have something meaningful to work toward. I want to keep traveling, keep learning, stay connected to my family, and make choices that give the years ahead some purpose. I don't need everything figured out. I just want to keep moving in a direction that feels right. The Philippines is probably the place I'm most curious about because I already have some history there. I spent time there years ago, so going back would feel different than visiting somewhere completely new. What attracts me now is the combination of tropical scenery, city life, beaches, and the possibility of finding a place where everyday living could be more affordable. I'd want to spend enough time there to see what normal life really feels like, not just stay in a resort. I want to look at neighborhoods, apartments, transportation, food, healthcare, and how comfortable I would actually be living there for weeks or months at a time. For me, the Philippines could end up being more than just another destination. It could potentially become a home base for exploring the rest of Southeast Asia. Thailand is another country that really interests me. It has the kind of variety I'm looking for, big cities like Bangkok, beaches, islands, mountains, and smaller places where life can move at a slower pace. What I like about Thailand is that it seems like I could experience several completely different lifestyles without ever leaving the country. I could spend time in a major city, then go somewhere quieter and see which one actually fits me better. Again, I wouldn't want to judge it from a short vacation. I'd want to stay long enough to experience normal life, the food, transportation, neighborhoods, weather, healthcare, and what it really costs to live there. Thailand may or may not be the place for me, but it's definitely one I want to experience for myself. Vietnam is probably the biggest unknown for me out of these three. And honestly, that's part of what makes it interesting. I want to see the cities, the countryside, the coastline, and experience a culture that would be completely different from what I'm used to. I'd be looking at Vietnam the same way I'm looking at the Philippines and Thailand. Could I actually be comfortable there? What would housing cost? How easy would everyday life be? Would I enjoy the food, the pace of life, and the people enough to stay longer than a vacation? I don't know the answers yet, But that's exactly why I want to go and find out for myself. Being farther away doesn't mean disappearing from my family's life. If I spend time in the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, or somewhere else in Southeast Asia, I'd still come back home. My family would still be a major part of my life. And honestly, one of the things I'd want to figure out is whether I could create a life that gives me the best of both worlds. Maybe I spend part of the year overseas and part of the year back home. Maybe my kids and grandkids come visit me and experience places they might never have seen otherwise. I don't have every detail figured out yet, but whatever I decide, staying connected to my family has to be part of the plan. At this point in my life, I'm less interested in owning more stuff and more interested in having more freedom. I don't need the biggest house, the newest car, or a bunch of things sitting around that I barely use. What matters more to me now is time. Time to travel, time with family, time to experience new places, time to wake up and decide what I actually want to do that day. That's what I mean when I say I'm chasing freedom, not things, because possessions can be replaced. Time can't, and I want to make better use of the time I still have. So no, I don't have every answer yet. I haven't picked the exact place. I haven't decided exactly how long I'd stay. And I don't know yet whether Southeast Asia becomes home, part-time home, or simply the next big adventure. But I do know one thing. I'm ready to keep moving forward. I want to see what's out there, experience it for myself, and make the decision based on real life instead of fear or assumptions. This isn't the end of the story. It's really just the beginning of the next part. And wherever this journey takes me, I want to make sure I actually live it. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this, researching it, and wondering whether I'd actually have the nerve to do it. Now I think the only way to really know is to go see the places for myself. Experience the normal days, not just the vacation days. Find out what feels right and what doesn't. Whatever happens, I want the years ahead to include more experiences, more memories, and more of the world. I've already lived a lot of life, but I'm not finished yet, and I'm ready to see what comes next. So that's where I am right now. I'm seriously considering spending more time in Southeast Asia and seeing whether a different kind of life might be right for me. I haven't made the final decision yet, and that's really what this journey is going to be about. I want to visit these places, experience normal everyday life there, look at the real cost, the good and the bad, and then make an informed decision. And I'm going to share that process here. So if you're interested in travel, living overseas, or maybe you've thought about making a change like this yourself, subscribe and follow along. I have a feeling this is going to be an interesting journey. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.